artist, Grammy rocker, and his longtime songwriting partner have teamed up with a Tony Award-winning director for Pretty Woman the Musical. Please welcome Jim Valance, Bryan Adams, and Jerry Mitchell. So it's like a dream team coming together. Jerry, we've had you on the show many times.
Yeah, it's good to be back here. I love Chicago, you know that.
Yeah, and of course it's really nice to meet both of you guys. Jerry, tell me about the Pretty Woman the Musical. How closely is this related to the film, which is, wow, almost 30 years old?
Well, there is a fire escape, and she does wear a red dress.
Yeah!
No, it's such a great film. I fell in love with it 28 years ago, and I knew there were moments in the film that I would have to deliver. But the great thing you do when you take a movie and you turn it into a musical is you add an exceptionally incredible score, and these rock and rollers have done that for me. So I'm really excited to share the story and the music with Chicago First.
Right, you won the Tony for Kinky Boots, and I was thinking, can you just use the same boots?
Well, actually, there is one pair that's kind of close. They could cross over. Her first boots that she wears on Hollywood Boulevard. But
there you go. Well, Bryan and Jim, I know you guys have known each other a long time. How long are we talking?
More than 40 years we've been working together.
And writing music and writing hits, how much different is it writing for a musical than writing rock and roll?
Well, writing for me is always a chore. You know, it's never going to be easy. In this case, it's good because we have a story, and every song was written specifically for each scene that we needed to move along in the musical. So it's kind of fun to have something to start with. You know, when Jim and I would sit down and write a song for me, it's always like, oh.
You dread it?
No, it's not like that. It's always fun.
That's a joke. They write songs like I drink a glass of water.
But no, writing songs for Bryan or the other artists we've written for, like Tina Turner or Joe Cocker or others, you have a lot of wiggle room. The world is your palette in terms of lyrics. You can write about anything you want. For a Broadway musical, you have to stick strictly to the story. So every word, every line of lyric has to serve the story. And anytime we've been a little bit cheeky and tried to insert a line of lyric that we thought sounded good, Jerry would go right to it and say, that doesn't serve the story. And we'd go back to the drawing board.
And get spanked.
And get spanked.
Well, the story is based on Gary Marshall's incredible film with a book by J.F. Lawton, who also wrote the film. So, you know, Gary was with us through the whole process and got to guide us with the story. So we're taking that story and turning it into a musical, which was always his wish.
Right. Now, when you think about Pretty Woman, you think about the Roy Orbison classic. That we will not hear the Roy Orbison classic.
No,
is there any influence?
We all love that song, but my theory is that a musical is about songs that the characters sing to move the story forward, which is why new musicals like Kinky Boots, like Hairspray, like Legally Blonde, like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, all the other movies that I've done, I've brought to Broadway with new scores that have served the show. And I'm thinking this one's going to do the same thing, I hope.
Yeah. Bryan, we've seen you do ballads, we've seen you do rock music. Do you have a preference, and what will we see more of in this show?
Well, you know, when you're creating an album, you try and create an album that sort of starts at one point and has an ebb and flow all the way through it. And I think that a musical has a similar dynamic. You can't always be on a high. You have to take it down. You have to have big romantic moments. And you know, very, very early on when I used to go to concerts, whether it was Led Zeppelin or Elton John, no matter, back in the 70s when I started out, I was always fascinated by, even though I would love the rockers because that's what got me there in the first place, I was always entranced by a song like your song when he would play it, and then go into Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, or from, you know, Black Dog into Ramble On. You know, the fact that these songs would have a different dynamic is what made the show fantastic, and that's what's going to make Pretty Woman.
Mm-hmm. How many songs are we talking, Jim, when you sat down to write this?
We've written 23 songs for the musical, but I think we've written 35 to get 23. So, I mean, Jerry just, you know, has been wonderful with his direction. We'll write a song and he'll say, great song. It might even stay in, because we've been on this over 2 years. It might even stay in for a week or a month. And then Jerry will say, you know what, it's a good song, guys, but I think you can write a better one. And you know, I've torn my hair out a few times. but every Every single time Jerry was right. We went back and we did write a better song.
Yeah.
He-
I mean, I learned a great lesson from Marilyn and Alan Bergman, who wrote The Way We Were. You know, great songwriters, right? And I was once working with them, and I had to ask them for a new song, and I felt terrible about it. And Marilyn said, Jerry, don't feel bad. Our job is to rewrite, not to write. That's what we're here to do, to rewrite and rewrite until we get it perfect.
I was going to say, you have the black shirt on, and it sounds like you're Simon Cowell a little bit. Yeah.
No, no.
But how excited are you to launch this thing in Chicago, pre-Broadway? We've been so lucky to have so
We
many.
are so excited, so excited, yeah.
And the Chicago audiences, for Bryan and for Jim, you have been here performing, of course, for many years. What's the Chicago audience like when it comes to music?
It's a great audience. I mean, that's why.
It's a great city.
Yeah.
It's a smart audience. There's a lot of theater, a lot of live theater music that comes to this town and started in this town. So the audience is very smart when they walk into the theater, and I always say they become my final scene partner. They actually help me make the story better.
That's cool. That's cool.
I have to share one quick story with you, Bryan. 2001, I was a young sportscaster in Billings, Montana. Getting my career started, my buddy goes, hey, I got tickets to go see Bryan Adams. I go, Bryan Adams? We saw you in a very small venue in Montana. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to this day.
Wow, that's so kind.
What, almost 20 years later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys
That's
so much.
kind.
You can see Pretty Woman, the musical, at the Oriental Theater March 13th through April 15th, and one lucky audience member is going home with a pair of tickets. Woo! We will pick that during the break, all right? Coming up next.